in the packet that you got with your notebook, you should have a page that looks like this. It looks just like mine up here, except you don't have the kite, which you will have to draw in by yourself. But you're going to fill this out along with me. You're going to fold it. This is going to go on page 98. Today we're going to talk about quadrilaterals. This will be the last thing we talk about this year, so woohoo, we made it all this way. If you remember, when we talked about polygons, we talked about quadrilaterals, because quad means how many? It means 4. So all of these shapes that we're going to talk about today have 4 sides. So we're going to talk about the Quadrilateral Club. It's pretty exclusive. There's a bunch of rules that follow along with it, so make sure that we're paying attention. So, the very first one we're going to talk about is the parallelogram. This big guy represents a parallelogram. So the Parallelogram Club refers to shapes that have 4 sides. But I want you to take a look at the shape on our anchor chart, and what do you observe about it, and why do you think it's called a parallelogram? Look at the word parallelogram. Do we have any clues in there of what it might mean? So the rule for the Parallelogram Club is must have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So in order to be part of the Parallelogram Club, you have to have at least 2 pairs of parallel sides. Parallel means they run along next to each other and are never going to run into each other. Think of them as train tracks. They run alongside and they're never going to cross, otherwise the train wouldn't be able to go. So the 2 train tracks that the train sits on, they run parallel to each other. So these 2 sides run parallel, and these 2 sides. Therefore, there are 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, repeat out, what is the rule to be part of the Parallelogram Club? Our next club, which is also very exclusive, is going to be the Rectangle Club. Based on what you know about rectangles, I want you to think, what do you think the rule is in order to get into the Rectangle Club? The rule for the Rectangle Club is must have 4 right angles. But it also must have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So the Rectangle Club also has the rules of the Parallelogram Club. And if you look and you think about what you know about rectangles, these 2 sides are parallel and these 2 sides are parallel. The reason why they're parallel to each other is so that we can make a right angle here. This is a parallelogram, but it's not a rectangle. This is a rectangle because it has 4 right angles. We took this and we straightened it to make 4 right angles, okay? So a rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not necessarily a rectangle. The next club we're going to talk about is the Rhombus Club. I want you to look at this shape and think about what you know about rhombuses and what you think the rule might be. The rule for the rhombus club is it must have 4 equal sides. If we measured this, each side would be equal. So it also has to have 2 sets of parallel sides, which it does. These are parallel and these are parallel. But in order for it to be a rhombus and not just a parallelogram or a quadrilateral, it has to have 4 equal sides. Okay? One thing that we want to make sure that we're paying attention to is if you are a rhombus, it means that you are a parallelogram. If you are a parallelogram, you are not necessarily a rectangle or a rhombus or a rectangle. So parallelograms, the big one. Quadrilateral is really the big one. Parallelogram. Then underneath parallelogram, you can either be a rhombus or a rectangle. But if you notice, we got the shape in here. What shape is that? It is a square. And it is a very exclusive club. A square is the only quadrilateral that gets in all 3 clubs. A square is the only quadrilateral that is a rectangle, a square is a rhombus, and a square is also a parallelogram. Okay, so a square is the only quadrilateral that is a parallelogram, a rhombus, and a rectangle. Then we have some things that are outliers. We have things like this shape right here and this shape right here. These are also quadrilaterals, but they are not part of the parallelogram club. They are part of their own little special club. So this shape is a trapezoid. And this is the trapezoid club. Based on the shape of it, what do you think the rule is? The rule is that it only has 1 pair of parallel lines. And if you look at this, that is true. These 2 lines right here are going to run into each other eventually. These 2 are not. And our last shape is going to be a kite. And if you look, it looks just like a kite. So the kite club rules, it is still a quadrilateral, but it is not a parallelogram and it's not a trapezoid. The rule is that it has 2 pairs of equal sides, which is the same up here, or which is the same for a rhombus, but that has 4 pairs. So it has 2 pairs of equal sides, but they are not parallel to each other. They are adjacent, which means that they connect. So 2 pair of equal sides that are adjacent. This is the same. They're adjacent, and those 2 are the same. So that is our quadrilateral club.